Thank you for joining us. I have to explain last week for those that are joining us online, yours truly, as I started class and we got into the part where we had a song, I had turned my wireless mic off and failed to turn it back on when I got to speaking again. So on the online audience, you just saw that and you heard nothing. So I hope that you'll forgive me. Again, I am working out some issues with my podcast equipment because I want to do this as a podcast too, so you would get the material on chapter 4. Tonight we're in chapter 5, page 17 in the workbook. I have 2 workbook pages left over here on this table for the taking. And we're in Revelation chapter 5, 6, and 7. This is week number 5, October 1. Tonight, I just want to go ahead and start with the song introduction called the Revelation Song. And my apologies to Matt Thomas, I forgot to include him. This would have been a recording John and Debbie and Matt would have been on. How many years ago, you think? So their voices is on this recording. Our project this year, it's not been released yet, so it's not on here. But this is a fairly well-known song. I'm pretty sure we sing this at camp. And I know we sung it at Blackwell, so it's been out for long enough. Okay. So I want to start with that tonight, but I want to paint that scene again where you've got the throne room scene of chapter 4. John, who's on Patmos, he possibly is in his cave that we showed last week. And he's looking out, seeing the window or door of heaven open as he hears the voice come up here, seeing God on his throne, 4 living creatures, 3 pairs of wings. One has face like lion, one like ox, one human face, and an eagle. And they have eyes all around, even under the wings there are eyes. You have 24 elders encircling the throne, each sitting on a throne, 24 elders with crowns on their head. They're all worshiping. By the end of chapter 4 is what they're singing, what they're using for praise is a part of this song. But I just want you to get that feeling. I've got the volume maybe a little louder, and the reason for that, I'm not trying to blow y'all out of here, but I'm going to keep my microphone on, and I'm going to set it, because I'm not sure the sound of the sound bar feeds back through the stream. So that's why I'm going to leave the mic on. Feel free to join in to sing if you feel so inclined. We're doing this one more time with the video, and then next week we'll see if John or Matt can just take off with it without the crutches. Take the training wheels off and see how we go. All right, so let's start with this praise and harmony recording of the Revelation Song.
Is the Lamb who was slain, holy, holy is He. Sing a new song, to Him sing song. has everything.
Okay. Thank you. And I've got my mic on still, so we're good. Quick question to Matt and John and Debbie. Is that in a minor key? Right. Oh, by the way, Wes, I don't need you anymore. I don't mean it. No, that sounded bad. I'm sorry. I got training from Matt today to know how to do this. All right, so page 17, chapter 5 in your book. I want to tell you, there was an excited lady that came up to me last Sunday and said, "Oh, I've got to tell you, I finally read Revelation all through in one setting." So Ruth is a happy camper, and is she here tonight? I think she's watching the stream at home, so we're proud of you, Ruth. How many of you who have not yet raised your hand for this question, but has now read Revelation in one setting? Very good. Good for you. Excellent work. Keep reading it, and if you're not reading it through in one setting, that's fine. Just keep reading it. I might also add that in the elders' meetings, we're reading it together. The leaders of the church here are engaging in that challenge. My goal is that we would have read it at least twice through, once in this class and once on your own for sure. So we are in chapter 5, but I want to backtrack just a little bit. Talking about the four living creatures last week, I gave you my opinion and then also showed you some alternate views of whom the four creatures, the living creatures, might be. I gave the opinion that it made sense to me at the time that this is a representation of God's created beings, wild beasts, domesticated beasts, humankind, and fowl. Now, I know in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, where do I tuck away all the fish and sea life? And I hadn't accounted for that. But this sounded good because I stole it from another preacher. But Tim Piles, I think you're wrong. Later, I came across this verse that says, one of the living creatures gave the seven angels 7 golden bowls filled with the wrath of God, who lives forever and ever. And it just makes more sense to adopt the view that this is either a representation of the cherubim or some exalted order of angels, which is also the view of Godfrey and some others that I've been reading. It doesn't make sense at all that this four living creatures would represent, one creature for each gospel, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That doesn't make sense to me. And the view that it was God's created beings also now doesn't seem to make sense to me, since God has set a precedent to communicate a lot of these things to John through angelic beings. So I am now swayed that this is that they are angels. So I'm backtracking a little bit. So studying is an evolutionary process, correct? You don't just study to reaffirm what you already think you know. You study so you can have an open-mindedness to it and be able to be more objective than that. And so I'm learning, and so there might be a few other things that I'll say that 2 or 3 weeks later I'll think, wait. I think I changed my mind on that. I reserve the right to change my mind. I reserve the right to be wrong, because obviously I'm wrong a lot. Okay, the number 7. Nobody's asked this yet, but this is an obvious number of significance in Revelation, correct? But it's probably also one of the most widely known numbers that hardly anybody that I know of is in the dark on this. But the number 7 is a word to mean completeness or wholeness or perfection. Perfection not in the way of being flawless, but perfection being in that it's all there, a more comprehensive view. It appears 55 times in Revelation. I'll give you a couple examples of that tonight, and you'll see it often. And as Robert Godfrey says in his series on Revelation, remember, he's operating off of an outline that has 7 cycles. We're in cycle 2 still, and that will go all the way through to chapter 8, verse 1. and that each of the 7 cycles have subcycles, and some subcycles have subcycles. We'll all have a bicycle by the time we're done. Okay, so here are the 7s in Revelation. This is probably not an exhaustive list. Some of you may not be able to read this, so let me go down. The 7 churches, the 7 spirits, 7 lampstands, 7 stars, 7 seals on the scroll. We talk about that tonight. 7 horns of the Lamb, 7 eyes of the Lamb, 7 angels, 7 trumpets, 7 thunder, 7 heads on the dragon, 7 heads on the beast, 7 golden bowls, 7 kings. And if I had my way, I'd put the 7 seas up there, because that was a famous amusement park I liked going to in Arlington right next to Six Flags. Anybody ever heard of the 7 seas? Just a very few people. Okay. Anyway, so it means completeness, fulfillment, perfection in the way that it's got the whole picture is there. It's whole, it's comprehensive. So I wanted to bring that up. Also remember, there's no break between chapter 4, where we were last week, to chapter 5, nor is there a break between that and 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10. And I'll give you a reason for that in a second. There could be a break in chapter 11, verse 1, because he does leave behind some of the typical language that connects the chapters. Just a reminder, I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence of Bible knowledge, but just a reminder, chapters and verses came much, much later than when the Bible was first written. They did not write in chapters and verses, but I do want you to know that from here on, at least through to the end of chapter 10, we've got one continuous scene that John is seeing this unfold before him, even though we're taking bite-sized chunks of it, looking at it, dissecting it. And here are the things that he's using to keep it all connected. Usually at the beginning of a chapter, by the way, he'll say things like, "Then I saw," 38 times he says that. Or, "Then I heard," 37 times. And by the way, he might not say, "Then I saw," he might just say, "And I saw," or "saw," 44 times. After this is used 14 times. We'll see it a couple of times tonight. Now, I know some of you are going to really count and make sure I've got that right, and you're going to call me on the carpet if I'm wrong. I just Googled it, so it's Google that'll be wrong if that's wrong, okay? But do you see a trend there? He's connecting the flow. It reminds me a lot of John Mark's gospel, the Gospel of Mark, where it's fast-paced, it's connected, and then this happened, then that happened immediately, and then suddenly, and then over here. That's what John is seeing. Have you heard of the analogy of getting so much information that it's like drinking from a fire hydrant versus a glass of water? This is what John is getting, fire hydrant mode. It just keeps coming at him, okay? We slowly and methodically work through Bible texts all the time. And sometimes I think we miss something by doing so. That is why I'm challenging you, read this in one setting, if possible. And why I believe, I'm 100% convinced of this, that the readers, when it got to Ephesus, it was read from beginning to end. And then when it went to whatever the next town was, Smyrna, I don't know, I don't have it memorized in order, but wherever it went, all the way down to the last one, Laodicea, people heard it being read from beginning to end. They didn't see it in print. They would have heard it orally, and they would have heard it, and that's the blessing, is to read it aloud or be hearing it. You don't have to understand it to get the blessing, but the blessing is in reading it or hearing it. Okay, so we're ready now to get to chapter 5 and read it together. We're in chapter 5. This is a short chapter. Here we go. Then I saw on the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides, sealed with 7 seals. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll or even look inside. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He is